Do you want to learn how to sew but it seems intimidating? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this easy tiered skirt. And did I mention it's a free pattern? Yes, free. When you're just starting off with sewing, free patterns are amazing to get started and kind of dip your toes in the water. So if you want to see how to do it, just keep watching. If you're new to my channel, my name is Leslie. My channel is all about sublimation and sewing. So if either of those things interest you, please consider subscribing, joining my YouTube family, hit the bell notification button to be notified every time I upload. I upload on Tuesdays and Fridays. So let's jump into this video. Don't forget to visit my website at sewpresscreate.com. For this project, you're going to need your fabric. You're going to need some elastic that is 1 inch wide, and the pattern will tell you how long you need to cut it. You're going to need some clips or pins, your sewing machine, a serger to finish raw edges, or you can finish that with your sewing machine. And to feed your elastic, you're going to need something like a safety pin or a bodkin. If you don't know what a bodkin is, it looks like this. There's different types, but this is the one I have. You put your elastic right in here. You tighten this and it helps you feed. I like this better than a safety pin because your safety pin can accidentally open up in your casing and that can be a pain to get out. And then you're going to need your pattern. That's all you're going to need. We're going to take our waistband and we're going to line it up right sides together. And then we're going to take our short sides here. We're going to line up those raw edges. And we're going to take some clips or pins and we're going to clip it all the way across. Just like that. And you're going to do that to both sides. And then you're going to take it to your sewing machine. And you're going to sew at a 3/8 seam allowance all the way across. And you're going to take it to your serger and finish off those raw edges. And you're going to do that again for both short sides. We're going to take our one of our top tiers facing up, and then we're going to take one of our pattern pieces. You have two mirrored ones. So this straight edge is what's going to line up on the short edge here. So we want to take it right sides together. We want the one that's going to line up that straight side. And we're going to clip or pin them together. The pattern has these instructions a little differently, so you can follow the pattern if you want. This is how I'm used to doing pockets, so this is how I'm going to do it. And then you want to repeat on the other side. So we're going to find the other pocket piece, which should be the complete opposite of this one, and lining up that straight edge of the pocket right sides together with our short edge and clipping that as well. And you want to repeat this for your other top tier as well. So we're gonna, now that you have done that for your top tier, you're gonna take this to your sewing machine and you're gonna sew your pocket on at a 3/8 seam allowance. And you're gonna repeat that for all 4 pockets. I have a seam guide here just to help me. These come in handy, I love them. So I'm just gonna sew at my regular, using a regular straight stitch at 3/8 seam allowance, making sure to back stitch at the beginning and end. And I'm just going to sew to the end of my pocket. And it should look like this. And you want to repeat this for all 4 pockets. Once you have sewn your seams, you want to take it to your serger and you want to finish your raw edges. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pocket and top tier, we're going to open it up. We want that seam allowance to be facing towards the pocket, and we're gonna top stitch that. And this is just gonna help the pocket lay nice and flat. So you're gonna top stitch at about a 1/8 seam allowance. So I use my stitch and ditch foot and I line up that ditch with this edge right here and I move my needle to 2. This is how I like to do it. And then I'm just gonna top stitch all the way to the side. And I'm just gonna kind of hold my fabric down, kind of pulling at it just a little bit. And again, we're doing this at about a 1/8 seam allowance. And it's going to look like this. you're just gonna have this nice little seam all the way across. You can make it a bigger seam allowance if you feel like you need to, but this is pretty good enough. This is just gonna stop your pocket from poking out. So you wanna repeat that for all 4 of your pockets. So now you wanna take your top tiers, both of them, and you wanna face them right sides together with the top edge of your pocket on the top. And then you can start off by lining up the seam here and then pinning or clipping that. And then you want to line up your pocket pieces and you're going to clip all the way around your pocket and all the way down this little short edge right here. And then you're gonna take it to your sewing machine and you're gonna sew all the way like that at a 3/8 seam allowance. And you wanna repeat that for your other pocket as well. So now that you have clipped and pinned that, you want to repeat that on the other side. Now that you have clipped both pockets and sides, we're going to take this to our sewing machine so that we can sew that together. Okay, so we're going to start sewing. Make sure to backstitch at the beginning and end. We're using a regular straight stitch at a 3/8 seam allowance. And what's really nice about these seam guides here is that this is going to help me when I'm sewing my curves. Just making sure my fabric is aligning with that seam guide. It's going to help the curves go nicely. I'm going to go slowly around your curves. And then as I'm getting close to this stitch right here, I want to make sure it lays flat underneath my presser foot. I'm going to go over it about 3/8. Leave my needle down, lift up my presser foot, and then just rotate my fabric. And then I'm going to sew all the way down. And then you can take it to your serger and finish your raw edges. And you want to repeat this for your other pocket as well. Now that we have sewn our pockets and tier together, we're going to flip it right side out and we're going to take our iron and we're just going to iron in that pocket so that it can lay nicely. You can flip it over and do the other pocket. You just want it to lay nicely in there. And you want to repeat this for the other side. Okay, so now we're going to pin that to the side. We're going to get our waistband and we're going to take it to our sewing machine and we're going to sew the short edges at a 3/8 seam allowance and then finish those raw edges. Once you have sewn your waistband and finished the raw edges, you want to take it and you want to press your seam down. You want to fold it in half, wrong sides touching. So you should be looking at the pretty side and front and back of it. And then you're just going to iron and steam that down so that it will just lay nicely for you. And you're going to do it all the way around your waistband. So I'm going to clip my serger tails. I don't have to worry about those because this edge is going to get sewn onto our top tier. What I am going to do first is pin my pocket down so that it doesn't shift in the process and I can make sure it is lined up nicely. I'm going to try to pin it in place so the pin is not going to be in the way of sewing, just so that I can make sure that I am not accidentally missing my pocket when I sew my waistband on. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine and baste my pocket on using a long straight stitch. Now we are going to take our waistband and we are going to line up our side seams with the side seams of our top tier. You want the raw edge of your waistband to be touching the raw edge of your top tier. You want to pin or clip that in place. Your waistband should sit flush against your top tier. You want to pin or clip that all the way around. Then we are going to take it to our sewing machine and sew at a 3/8 seam allowance, except we are going to leave about a 2-inch gap where we are not going to sew. This will be where we will insert our elastic. And now your waistband should look like this. Now get your elastic with your bodkin and stick it through the gap that you created. You want to move it through your waistband by scrunching up your fabric and pulling the elastic. Also want to make sure that your elastic is not twisting up in the process.
You can take a pin and pin the end of your elastic to your fabric so it does not get lost as you are moving the rest of the elastic through the waistband. Once you have made it all the way through, you want to take both ends of your elastic and overlap them about 1/2 inch and pin in place. With the zigzag stitch, you want to sew a few rows of stitches. You then want to sew close your waistband and you want to finish the raw edges with your serger. Sew the short sides of your second and third tier and finish the raw edges. You want to sew a gathering stitch on your second and third tier.
To gather, you want to make sure that you put your stitch length all the way as high as it can go. For me, that's 5. You can leave your stitch width the same. I personally leave my tension the same. I don't really mess with the tension, but if you put a higher tension, it can help gather a bit. And we're just gonna use our regular presser foot. I'm gonna use a scrap piece of fabric to show you because the skirt piece is a little too long to get on. So we're just gonna crank our hand wheel to grab our bobbin thread and pull that out. Use a pair of tweezers to kind of pull that out just like that. You're gonna put your fabric down and you want to do it within your seam allowance. So don't do it too close to the edge because if you have a woven and it frays, then you're gonna lose those stitches. Do it a little bit away from the edge and then you're just gonna start stitching. And I have my tension all the way up. Once you almost get to the end, you want to leave your needle down, lift up your presser foot. And your presser foot down, go down about 1 or 2 stitches. Lift up your presser foot, turn your fabric, and then start sewing all the way down. Once you get to the end, you're going to lift up your needle and your presser foot, and you're going to kind of do a long tail and then clip that off. And it should look something like this. The reason why I recommend doing 2 rows and doing it like this where you keep going is because you'll have less of a chance of the thread breaking. Trust me, I've done a lot of skirts, and especially in the beginning, and you know, you're trying to get all those gathered. It's a really long piece of fabric and then your thread snaps and then you have to go back to doing it all over again. Don't recommend that. So this is why I recommend doing it like this. The higher tension, the more ruffles you're going to get as well. And then now that you have gathered your fabric, you're going to turn your fabric to the wrong side and you're going to take your bobbin threads. You want to make sure you're not grabbing your front threads, just your bobbin threads. And you can pull the top and bottom at the same time. You're going to start pulling it and moving your fabric to the side. Just pulling it, moving it to the side. And you're going to do that until your fabric is the size of your top tier. So you're doing this to your middle tier and your bottom tier, and you want to make sure that it is the size of the bottom of that tier that's going on top of it.
You want to then add or take off gathers, kind of move your gathers around until your gathered piece is the same size as your top tier. Once it is the same size, you want to put them right sides together, lining up that raw edge and clipping or pinning all the way around. You then want to take it to your sewing machine and sew at a 3/8 seam allowance.
Once you have sewn those together and you have finished your raw edge on your serger or your sewing machine, it's just time. You can add the 3rd tier. I tried mine on, and because I'm short, I feel like this fits me really well. I don't want to add a 3rd tier. So I'm going to stop here with the first 2 tiers, but if you're doing a maxi, you can do the exact same thing of gathering, sewing together, and serging your edges. Once you do that, it's time to hem. So you can either hem by serging your bottom edge and then folding over and top stitching, or you can take your bottom end here, you can fold it over about 1/4 inch and then fold it over about 1/2 inch or so, however much you wanna hem. This much, this is about what I want. And then I'm just gonna do that all the way around. So again, you're folding over about 1/4 inch or so and then folding it up however much you want. And then clipping or pinning that in place, and you're gonna do that all the way around. Once you have clipped that all up, you're gonna top stitch it. I like to top stitch it from the wrong side just so that I can see where I'm top stitching. I find that it's fine on the other side. I don't really get any nests or anything like that. And I'm using my stitch in the ditch foot again. I moved over my needle to 2, and I have a lot of clips on mine so that it doesn't come undone. And I'm just going to top stitch all the way around. And it's gonna look like this, and it's gonna be nice and consistent all the way through. You did it, you made such a cute skirt. Isn't it just so cute? Again, I only did 2 tiers because I felt like this was long enough for me since I'm short, and the 3rd tier was just gonna be too long on me. Something I did do that I didn't mention is that I actually stitched in the ditch right here on the side seams. And stitch in the ditch means that I just sewed along that seam so you can't see it. And I did this because I used elastic that kind of rolls, and this is gonna kind of help it not flip on me. So, super happy I did that. Definitely consider it. If you're using a non-roll elastic, then you probably don't need that, but I did it. So, super cute skirt. It has pockets. You don't have to do the pockets if you don't want to, but I love pockets. I feel like most girls do like pockets to put their phones and stuff. So let me know down below if you enjoyed this video. Please share your skirts with me. You can hashtag SewPressCreate so I can see them. Super easy project. You learned so many techniques like gathering, doing a nice hem, sewing a waistband in, doing tiers, pockets. Super easy, beginner friendly. Now I hope you feel like you can conquer the world of sewing. I will be having a lot more free pattern videos because again, free patterns are just a good way of learning as a beginner. And there are some companies out there that have a lot of free patterns. So stay tuned. There will be another free pattern video coming soon. Again, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to hit the bell notification button so you'll be notified every time I upload. And make sure to subscribe. Join my YouTube family. We're on our way to 16,000 subscribers, which is crazy. And check out my website at sewpresscreate.com. There's a lot coming, you guys. A lot coming. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.